I gave my dad his 50th birthday card, and he looked at me and said, "One would have been enough." What's going on, YouTube? Today we're going to break down event tickets. It's one of the more confusing currencies in the Elder Scrolls Online, and that's because you can't really turn it directly into gold. Literally every other resource you can, including transmutation crystals, for heaven's sakes. You could turn those into Nern Cruxes. So there's so many ways that you can, however, turn event tickets into popular items that are worth tons of gold. They just become untradeable. Or you can get really cool rewards such as mounts, houses, or other really cool things. So that's what we're going to break down in today's video. And there's definitely some pitfalls to fall into, so please avoid some of these things as well. And if you've never seen event tickets before, they're going to find them in your currencies tab inside your character. You can see that I have 5 out of 12 event tickets. Important to note that you cannot hoard more than 12 event tickets. And how you get them actually depends on what active event is going on in the game. And how you get event tickets is going to be, again, different for every event. So, for example, we have a PvP event. So, by completing a PvP quest, my first one per day, I get 2 event tickets. Now, this one is a very specific event. You can get 2 event tickets by doing either a Cyrodiil or a BG quest, and then you can get 1 per day for doing an Imperial City quest. Generally, though, however, you get all of your event tickets from one specific source, whether it's killing your first world boss per day, whether it's, going out and completing your first daily quest from the specific vendor per day. But it's just important to note that when it comes to actually getting these rewards, because obviously if you want to spend event tickets, you're going to need to get event tickets. But always check out my guides on events. I do a video breakdown of how you can get all the rewards for every single ESO event. But generally, this is how you get your actual event tickets. Some more important information for you is that we are actually currently at the event exchange, which is marked here on the map. Now, you can also see, too, that sometimes they have different ones set up around the world. This is the icon that you're looking for. It's kind of like a little calendar thingy-doohickey. And when you come here, you'll find the Impresario. Now, the Impresario is in multiple zones. We're just in Glenumbra. Feel free to use Glenumbra if you ever just need an easy one to go to. Glenumbra is all the way in the top left portion of the map, and it is also a free-to-play area. Now, the Impresario is special because it's got tons of items. Now, these depend on the active event, but there's usually quite a few, I would say, repeat items, and generally there's a lot of ways you can tell which ones are going to be good and which ones are not going to be worth your money. And we're starting with the bound style page collectibles at the tippy top. We're actually modeling one of the pieces. Again, depending on which event you're watching this on, this may look different. And if we start off, this actually looks kind of cool. And you can see, though, that there's quite a few different event pieces that we are, able to model and show off. Ooh, look at the helmet. So if you're thinking to yourself, okay, Jake, what's the trend here? Well, the trend is that basically these are bound style pages. And except for very, very, very rare events, these are always able to be purchased from other players. Now, you might think to yourself, Jake, what does that mean? Well, it means is that if I opened one of my supply boxes, I actually had gotten one of the style pages today. I can sell this one, or I, in theory, could also go and I could spend event tickets to buy them. Generally, however, with very rare circumstances, again, it's almost always worth it to just buy these from other players. Even on console, they're around 10 to 20,000 gold, usually by the time the event ends. Why is that? Well, whenever something is brand new, at the start of our 2-week event, it's usually worth the most. Everybody wants to make sure that they get it. They always go out, grab them immediately. You could get more value. By the end of the event, usually they're not worth nearly as much. And, because of that, people are selling them, for significantly less gold. And that's where I would say these first couple items at the top, regardless of the event that you're in, you're probably going to be able to purchase them from other players significantly cheaply. Now, 5 event tickets is not a huge investment, but still, when there's some other stuff on the line, you don't want to waste 5 event tickets either. Now, here's where it gets extra spicy. Some events have previous year's containers. ESO has been out for 10 years. And while there's quite a few active players who are focused on getting collectibles now, there's a lot of collectibles that people don't have access to, and on the ESO open market are worth ridiculous amounts of money. And fascinatingly, if we were to open those, we could get some pretty banging style pages that were only available for a previous period of time. And these are worth multi-millions right now on PC because it came out in 2021, meaning that only the people who farmed this and kept the unbound style versions are able to resell them, and everybody else is going to have to roll through these bags of glory if they wanted to try to get them from previous years. Now, this again will depend on the event, and I always do a video breakdown on the previous year's, bags of glory, because every event's different. Some of them are more focused on mementos, and generally you want to have really cool looking style pages. Those are usually the ones that retain more value. Plus, the other thing too is the reason that it has retained so much value is ESO has done a lot of mid-year mayhems. They literally had to rename it because they do so many. It's no longer even in the middle of the year, which is why it's called White Strake's Mayhem, Pelinor's Grace, yada yada. And so because of that, if I was to buy one of these, for example, where you could get something from a huge sweeping range of time, and let's see what we get here. Yeah, we got the House Dewford helmet. I mean, that's not like the worst thing we could have gotten. Its average price is between 70 and 88,000 gold, but again, because we're getting this bound, it's one of those ones where if you don't have a specific utilization for it, you're kind of like, well, I guess that's neat, but it can be a little disappointing. But those are really if you want to be focused on gambling your event tickets. What about some of the more static items? And so the next ones are static items, and they are our Companion Fighters Guild Commendation, Mages Guild Commendation, and Undaunted Commendation. Now, these are actually focused on your companions. Now, that's great. You went there. You probably love your Isabel. You got her all the way up to Fighters Guild 10, Mages Guild 10, Undaunted 10, or if you're not, you're like, oh, I want to level these up faster. Don't spend your event tickets to level these up faster. All you are saving is a single daily quest. Every daily quest levels you up a whole level. So if you do your Mages Guild daily, Isabel levels up. That's not worth 3 event tickets. I think people think that to go from like 8 to 9 or 9 to 10, you have to do like 10 Mages Guild quests. No, it's just one. So don't feel like you need to buy these commendations for event tickets. And now we get into fragments, which is admittedly one of ESO's most confusing mechanics ever to exist. But I will break it down for you very simplistically. So you can see we have different fragment options here. This will depend on which portion of the year we're in, because as the year goes on, we actually get more options for fragments that we previously didn't have. But you might be thinking to yourself, Jake, what is a fragment? What's even going on here? Don't worry, I have a graph. Here is the graph, 2025 Morphing Collectible Guide. Now, you can see at the tippy top here, 3 of the fragments are used to create a pet. That is the base item. Now, if you've never played Pokemon before, this is the example I always use. You have now you've caught an Eevee, right? Well, Eevee is a Pokemon that can be morphed into a bunch of different ones, right? So for Q1, you actually can use additional fragments based on, of other events. These are the ones, if you're curious, that actually cost 10 event tickets versus 5, and you can get a customizable action, which is that thing where you're like sucking up the thing down there in the bottom left. But what confuses a lot of people about this mechanic is after you have morphed your pet at the top to the action at the bottom left, you actually now lose your Eevee, because now you have a Jolteon, because you've now morphed it into a customizable action. So now when Q2 comes out, which is going to be, in the next season of the year, now you need to get these top fragments again, and then you can put them back into this Q2 event right here. And here's how this looked last year. So you can see that there was quite a few different options, with most notably, you could get a mount in Q3 and a house in Q4. So I will just kind of tell you too, that generally the events are better. The rewards are better at the latter half of the year, because you could see, you start off with body markings, customizable action this year. Then you get a personality, and you're like, okay, all right, a personality, okay, all right. Then you get a mount, and you're like, okay, now we're really pushing for some good customizable stuff here. And then you get a house, a whole house. And by the way, that house had an item that's worth like 1,000,000 gold in it, because you can actually buy and sell them. So these are significantly better usually in the latter half of the year. So if you're watching this video and it's like, February, March, you don't have to be super focused on this. I would at least try to go and get the actual pet fragment and combine them together, so that way you've got your Eevee, ready to morph into something later. Even if you're like, don't really care about a customizable action, I still would just hold on to it. That way if it gets to Q4 and you're like, ooh, a whole house, Kind of want one of those. And we finish on group repair kits. I honestly get tons of these. There are certain events that just give you these. I have 32. I've never purchased them with event tickets before. Now, I do hold on to them, admittedly. I'm not somebody that just uses them like candy, in trials like other people do. But you're going to build these up over time. It's not the worst thing to use 2 event tickets on if you're actively farming and running trials competitively and consistently. But I do also just want to remind you that it's only PvE content that degrades your armor. So, like, if you're doing a bunch of PvP right now and you're doing it in big groups, PvP doesn't degrade your armor durability, so you don't have to worry about these group repair kits. Next up, we have Philius. Now, Philius you can also find in the Impresario stand. Philius is special because he's the developer's way of giving you items that previously were available in the game. For example, we're going all the way back to the Deadlands, stuff for some of these items here, including getting the Doomchar Plateau, which is a pretty special offering. Now, Philius is a little bit unique because he has items that actually are dependent upon the zone that you're in. So if you go to him in Western Skyrim, you can use him to buy specific items based on which achievements you have locked. These are all pretty much all housing items. Then you can see in Arteron, he's got a specific assortment of items. Craglorn, he's got a huge assortment. Stonefalls, another assortment. Vardenfell, again, more assortment of items. Blackwood, Telvanni Peninsula, Northern Elsewhere, Westweld. And so you can see that depending on where you talk to him, his items will change. But basically, the theme is pretty simplistic with him. You're going to find items that were available in previous years. And as far as, getting them, these do seem to stay for at least a good period of time. So a lot of people really want the Doomchar Plateau. It gives you access to a whole house, and you would have a decent chunk of time to actually be able to get that. And he is also available year-round. So you'll be able to find him even not during actual events. So if you were to come here in Glenumbra, she would not be here. She would just, if there's no event active. But he, however, will still be here. But his items do rotate. Now, a lot of people want to see specific items like the 5 companion house. When are they going to rotate? I don't know. And this seems to just kind of be like a way for the developers to retroactively give some previous year items, but there's no real set pattern that I've been able to identify yet. But that being said, there is another event ticket vendor that has a pattern that we can identify. And then we get into Indriks. Now, the Indrik vendor is over here in Craglorn. Don't mind the fact that the cursor just got thrown off into the wilderness, next to the main city of Belkarth. Now, the reason why I love the Indrik vendor is it actually rotates. Now, if you're like, Jake, which Indriks are available? You can see on the sides here. You have the one that I will mispronounce, Nascent. Then you can morph that into Dawnwood, or you could morph that into this special one over here, the Spectral Indrik. Now, it's very similar to everything we talked about so far, where you can buy the base fragments. Now, you can see this is going to give you access to the Nascent Indrik, which is, again, the one on the left here. And then you could then morph it into one of the other ones. You can see it says requires Nascent Indrik to use. You combine these 4 berries together, and boom, now you got a greener one, or a translucent one. Transparent? Translucent? One of the two. Somebody in the comments will tell me. And at the bottom, you can also buy the pet versions of them too. So if you wanted to have them run around your house or follow you around in the world, get them too. And you'll notice here from ESO Hub that there's actually quite a few Indrakes, including some fiery ones, some bright ones. We saw our ghosty one here earlier. And so there's quite a few options. You can see we are currently in the spring season, although depending on where you live, it does not feel like that because it snowed this week. So you can find, though, that there's going to be an assortment of different ones depending on which season you're in. For example, the summer, up to and including the Zeals of Zenthar event, will include the Luminous Indrik, the Ice Indrik, and so on and so on. The Moss Indrik becomes available in the autumn period as well as the Onyx one. And then in the winter, you can get the Pure Snow and the Crimson Indrik, which is just a cool little flavorful addition here. And you can see here they are broken down for the pets. And honestly, I think it's cool that they have rotational ones. I think it'd just be a little bit better if it was a little clearer when exactly these rotated. But basically, it seems like it's along the Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q1, spring, Q2, summer, Q3, fall, And then Q4 is winter, even though I feel like it never snows in winter. It only ever snows in January and February for some reason. But everyone, thank you guys so much again for watching. We're going to be going live after this video is posted. So if you're watching this right as it goes live, feel free to drop by and get a Twitch drop, free crown crate for you for stopping over. So thank you again. I'll catch you guys here in a little bit. And we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you need to do to enter is leave a comment and a like on the video. Second thing is just make sure you're subscribed / follow on Twitch and Twitter if you wouldn't mind. And the third thing is look for a hidden word be flashed upon the screen. If you're the first person to comment with that word, you will win. Thank you again, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.